How y'all doing today? Listen, we are simulcasting live. We're going on 3 different formats right now. I'm getting ready to get the Instagram going for a minute. But this is the film review. Movies, music, culture, and whatever else
comes to mind.
That's right. We we are your hosts. I'm Crazy D.
Tracy.
And we review culture in movies, music, politics, and society. And do we have a great show for you today? Let me do this real quick. Let me get to this, do this real quick and bring up the Instagram real quick. And then we'll be ready to move forward here. Using
two documentaries we're going to cover. One is going to be That Sugar film. And the second documentary is going to be Plant Pure Nation, along with a few other films. So, and then we're also going to discuss, since we're talking about food and nutrition, Chef Keidi. He has excellent recipes, as well as lectures on YouTube. And we're going to discuss that as well.
That's right. So as you see, for those who are watching, you can watch us on Instagram, on YouTube, and Facebook right now. Let me make sure we got this right for you. That's right. So we're coming live in 3 different formats. So we want y'all to tune in, tell a friend, tell them what's going on. Let me see what's happening here with this. I'm not too sure what's going on with that, so I'm just going to just going on with the show. All right, people. So we got a chance to watch a couple of different films this time coming around, and let me just do some adjusting to this as we get this going. And first of all, let us say that this is brought to you by the Black Ice Chronicles. Back in Cleveland movie, the Black Ice Chronicles Back in Cleveland movie,
right.
Available on Vimeo and also on DVD.
Right.
Available on Vimeo and also DVD.
Right.
Available on Vimeo and also DVD. So make sure you pick up your copy of Back in Cleveland. That's what it's called, Back in Cleveland. Back in Cleveland. That's right. Produced a DVD as well as on Vimeo.
Yeah.
All right, so let's put that to the side here. Okay, so let's get relaxed because, this has been a real interesting setup here. All right, as we go, as I splat myself with some ginger beer. All right, here we go. Okay, listen.
Now, ginger beer. Talk about ginger beer.
Okay, now, ginger beer is not alcoholic for people to know. It's really good for congestion. It really burns away the mucus.
Yeah. This time of year, it's a great anti-inflammatory.
Yeah.
As well as it's good for muscle soreness. It's good for arthritis, as well as a host of things. So since we're talking about the sugar film, as well as Plant Pure Nation, might as well throw in other information, things that's good for you, such as ginger beer, as well as ginger tea. So also try ginger tea, which is really great too, especially this time of year, like I said, for colds, for flu, for arthritis. It's a great anti-inflammatory. Try it out.
Test. This is interesting. We're going to figure that out. All right, people. All right, so where do we begin today? Let's start with Hard Time. Hard Time is a film that we discovered on YouTube. It's on YouTube right now. It's called Hard Time, the movie. It's a 15-minute plus film, and it's directed by, it's actually edited by DJ Rondevu, right? So DJ Rondevu is editing this film. He also plays the heavy in the film. He plays the criminal element in the film, right? So as we're going here, I'm going to be populating the various discussions.
He did a great job in the
Yeah.
film. We knew DJ Rondevu from his mix CDs.
That's right.
That we carried in our store.
Mm-hmm.
So when we found out he was a filmmaker, we was excited about seeing this film.
Yeah.
And it didn't disappoint.
Mm-hmm. So remember again, we're simulcasting on Instagram, on Facebook, and also on YouTube. This is the film review. We're going to be a little discombobulated in the beginning here as we get all of this working because we want to populate and let people know that we're on. So that's what I'm doing right now.
I thought I brushed my hair.
Okay.
The heat is so hot.
Yeah, it's hot under the lights. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Let's see here. Let's put this in the group. Let's see the film review. Post. Alright. Let's see here. Alright, grab this right here. Put it in here. Now for the people who are in my group in the film review, movies, music, culture, politics, we are posting right now into it to let you know that we are live. Tune in. Alright, there we go. Alright, people. So, Hard Times. Let's give the synopsis on Hard Times. It's not Hard Times, it's Hard Time, the movie, edited by DJ Rondevu. It's about a man who is just newly released from prison and he's trying to get his life together, but he has a dramatic need. His grandmother's house is in foreclosure and he has to find a way to save the house as well as help his sister who's sick and make sure his nephew stays on the right track. That's his dramatic need. Within the meantime, he meets up with DJ Rondevu's character, who is the heavy in the film, who gives him a proposal that he shouldn't refuse. And all throughout, he goes through and he's trying to find his way through. So it's a 15-minute piece. Let me get some of the names here. Let me find them real quick because I jotted them down. I'm going to make sure that I give this a solid review. Okay, DJ Rondevu plays Tyrone. And then Saint Perry plays Uncle D. That's funny, Uncle D. And then Wally Phillips plays the nephew. All of the acting in it is really good, and I have to say that the cinematography in it is really good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want to shout out to Let's Go Entertainment. You know what I'm saying? Nintendo Switch just joined and is tuned in listening. So, watch that Hard Time.
Yeah.
It's shot well.
Yeah, it is.
It's edited well. The sound on it is good. When you hear the birds chirping, they are right there at you.
Yeah.
For sure. They're right there at you for sure.
And the script flows.
Yeah, the script flows. It starts out with a dramatic need, but it never really gets an initiating event until actually the end of the film. Because it's a 15-minute film, so usually the initiating event in the film, which kicks off the whole story, starts around 14 minutes in, and then the film comes to the conclusion. But it's well worth seeing. You will be entertained. Hard Time by DJ Rondevu. I'm just going to say by him because he edited it. And I have to give a shout out to the cinematographer, who is Olga Nachevia. I think seems like a Russian name, but she did a real great job on the cinematography. She didn't jump the line on certain things, and she stayed with it, and it's beautifully shot. The conversation between the nephew and the uncle.
I like their relationship.
Yeah, their relationship is good.
The lighting is great.
Yeah, the lighting is great.
Yeah.
Just like this, people. Have you noticed the lighting right here? Have you noticed that everything is
it's
well
hot.
lit?
I'm melting under the lights.
You know what I'm saying? The only thing we didn't bring were the napkins. We brought the drinks, but we didn't bring the napkins. See, the lights will make you hot for sure. So
you will sweat.
make sure you get
lights.
ginger beer for sure. Okay.
Under the lights.
All right. So the next film that we reviewed, you know what? It actually came on right after Hard Time Flowing because it's on YouTube, and this film is also on YouTube, and it's called Welcome to Killa City, right? And it's from out of Missouri, Kansas City,
Midwest.
Missouri to be exact, Midwest, and it's starring E.G. Freeway, you know Freeway, the rapper from The Rock, and you know State Property. Yeah, Freeway, and also C Ness, and it came out in 2015. So the synopsis of the story is two friends come up together, and they're introduced to a third party who is not as close to them as they were, but they all kind of come up together. The two come up since they were children. The other, he comes in when they're teenagers, and something happens, and one of them goes to prison. And then when they come back, the conversation and the connection between the three aren't what they were, and that is the initiating event that kicks it off. And it is a story of lies, betrayal, truth about what's going on in the hoods in Kansas City, Missouri, and it really takes you there. It's a really great film. The sound quality in it, the soundtrack is just phenomenal. Like the way that they use the songs in passage of time. It has more passage of time sequences in it than most films usually do, but that's okay because the storyline, you're able to catch on, you kind of figure it out after a while who's who, because they have the younger set of when they're teenagers, and then they have the older set post prison, right? And that's the best way to describe it. And the story goes on, and it tells a interesting story about Kansas City, Missouri, and what's going on there as far as at that time in 2015. So it is well worth seeing. It has an excellent soundtrack. You will be sitting there gripped by the film. You know what I mean?
It's a really good film. I love independent films. I love the realness, you know, the relationship between the guys. Like you said, the soundtrack was nice. I love the and everything was placed nice. Like each song was placed in the perfect scene. Combination of with hip hop and R&B. Really nice. And I love the introduction to all of the characters. Well written. You were able to understand and you were introduced to each of the different like personalities. And it's well done.
Well done. Okay. So now, let's switch gears for a minute and let's talk about sugar-free diet. Now, we were sitting and we were watching a couple of different documentaries. Tell them about the documentaries real fast.
Okay, so that sugar film is what it's called, and it is starring Damon Gamu. He also directed it. He's starring in it. And what he did was, it's kind of like in the same vein as Super Size Me. type, instead of it being a fast food restaurant, Damon Gamaru his goal is to consume the equivalent of 40 teaspoons of sugar daily for 6 weeks, just to see how sugar affects our body.
Mm-hmm.
And what initiated this for him was his wife was pregnant, and he wondered how sugar affects one's body, you know. And he thought about his child and how children grow up. Hey, Kayla, and how children grow up with sugar. And I mean, it was great. It was a great social experiment from beginning to end. You saw how it affected his body, his organs.
So when he first starts out, he's a slim string bean.
Yeah.
And within the first, 6 weeks?
Yeah.
This starts to change, and his he really starts to age.
Yeah, he does. His face,
his face really aged.
Yeah, like the guy in Super Size Me, he really aged within those few weeks.
And all of this is from sugar.
From sugar, and the most interesting thing about it is like the equivalency of, for instance, 40 grams of junk food, let's say potato chips, candy bars, soda, or pop, as we say in the Midwest, versus 40 grams of yogurt and a health food bar. So the thing is, 40 grams is 40 grams, right? So either or. And his thing is that people assume just because, I'm eating a so-called a nutritional bar, or I'm drinking a healthy smoothie, you know, it's much healthier than having a bag of chips and a candy bar. But in reality, that 40 grams of sugar that is in that nutritional bar, that is in that yogurt smoothie, or more calories, isn't good for you. So basically, it's best to stick to whole foods. Like, instead of maybe juicing a bunch of apples and pears, eat the actual apple.
One and you'll be full.
Just eat one, you'll be full because of the
you
fiber.
Get the fiber. And
yeah,
you get
and
the skin
and less
everything.
Calories, right? So the calories from just having an apple and all of the fiber. He talked about how all of the sugar that's in the juice, all of the calories that you're intaking from the juice, compared to just eating one apple. You'd be full off of just eating that one apple compared to drinking a huge cup of juice, taking on more sugar and more calories, which in turn affects your organs, you know, your liver, as well as other organs in the body. So it's just interesting. So kind of what I learned from watching it was watch out for this so-called healthy food bars, as well as yogurts. Like, try almond yogurt or coconut yogurt, and don't get a large smoothie when you go to some of these smoothie places. Go for a small, because there's so much sugar in it. It's just healthier to actually eat the whole fruit. But I mean, it was a great documentary, and we all know, you could just imagine the sugar content in candy. So I learned a lot from watching the documentary. It was.
And
really
if you
good.
want to do take a measuring spoon and pour in 40 grams and try to taste and eat that sugar, and that's what's actually in what you're actually eating.
Right.
Whatever it is if it's 40 grams of something, then you're gonna be like, oh, I'm not gonna want to necessarily eat.
Right, and then you learn the sugars in everything. Because I went to the grocery store actually today, and I looked at the back of the ketchup. There's a lot of sugar in it. Bread, sugar in it. I'm like, sugar's in everything. So you just have to really watch your sugar intake, because there are some whole food breads, grains, when there isn't any sugar, and if there is, it's very, very little compared to some bread, and it has tons of sugar. So kind of just kind of I don't want to say play the game, but when you go grocery shopping, kind of look at the back of everything, including the condiments such as the mayonnaise and the ketchup, and you will see that the sugar content is really high. So try to go for the healthier option if you do. And as far as ketchup, like more organic ketchup, go for a healthier option with less sugaring. So it was a great documentary.
So tell them what the second documentary was.
Second documentary we watched is called Planet Pure Nation, which was really good. And this was done by father and son. The father is Dr. Colin Campbell's son, Nelson Campbell. And what they did is they did a test study with, they went to the Carolinas. Hi, Nikki.
What's going on, Nick?
And they did a case study, and it's interesting. They chose, they went to the Carolinas because it's known for the North Carolinas, well, it's South Carolina, known for like their barbecue and great meat, whether it's beef, chicken, it's known for it. And so a couple of people decided to be a part of the study, and Dr. Campbell, they had a caterer who prepared healthy meals, all plant-based, such as veggies, fruits, nuts, whole grains, legumes, and seeds. And they noticed after doing a plant-based diet, they were a lot healthier. Like their sugars, people who had diabetes, they noticed that their sugar count was better. The cholesterol was lower. I mean, just like overall, like for each person, you had to have some type of ailment. And they followed a few of the test studies, and they went to see their doctors, and you were actually able to see what difference it made,
Nikki says she's from South Carolina.
Oh, hi. Yep. And it was really great. You should watch it.
Yeah.
Because at first they were really, really hesitant. They didn't think that people in South Carolina or North Carolina would participate in it. But a lot of people participated in the study.
But they call it
really
revved up or initial rev or something like that. That's what they call it. The study was initial rev, where it would rev up your body where you wouldn't need the sugar and everything.
And it really did.
And then the doctors said that they hadn't seen these type of results.
Right.
Play with all three cameras. Look around.
Oh. Okay.
But just one.
But, just like
yeah. But
Yeah.
They said that it really revved up the immune system. It just revved them up, and they had never seen people just lose. People who had medicine, were taking medicine.
Thank you.
They came off the medicine.
Our show. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Let's see, what else? But not to leave out our own homegrown people. Dr. Keidi, or Chef Keidi, has programming on YouTube, and he also has a DVD out called Suicide, and it talks about people eating, and it talks about plant-based living foods to eat, which he also calls it whole foods, but plant-based living foods to eat. And I'm getting ready to put one of his videos in the description here, so that people can watch it.
One today. You had saw it earlier, and then I watched it a little bit after you. And we saw Chef Keidi prepare his papaya kiwi almond yogurt breakfast. I mean, it looked delicious.
And that's what we just posted.
Yeah.
So you'll see that on the line. So after this is over, you can go back. And those who are watching on Instagram, come on to the Crazy on Dion page, or the Lordland Films page, or the film review page, and then you're able to watch it. And also the people on YouTube, you're able to watch it. Click it and watch his situation. And again, this broadcast is brought to you by, back in Cleveland, the Black Ice Chronicles back in Cleveland DVD, also streaming on Vimeo. So make sure that you come in, you order it. You can order it right off of lordland.com, or you can watch it, stream it on Vimeo. You know, so we are lordlandfilms.com. We do produce films. We produce documentaries, and we can work on your titles and make them come out crystal clear, perfect, you know, lighting, bringing it home for you. So we'll say that. So let's go through these two documentaries. What would you rate the first documentary? Tell me what the name of it is.
The first documentary is called That Sugar Film. And out of what, like the 10, I would definitely give it a 10 because I learned a lot watching this documentary, and it made me very thoughtful of, like, for instance, I have like these like smoothies that I drink, which are like great, like a great supplement, like when you're constantly moving it on the go and you need like a meal and some nutrition, and instead of drinking the like entire bottle, I drank half and then I drank the other half later.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of drinking 2 bottles, you know, like one for breakfast and then another one like for like lunch. So because it made me like really cognitive of the amount of sugar I took in, because in this documentary he literally shows you, he starts it off with the teaspoons of sugar. He starts it off with 40 teaspoons of sugar. Not only does he do that, like he actually eats the the 40 teaspoons of sugar. And then he would also show you like the dish next to it, which is kind of like what I love about when I watch Dr. Oz. He does great demonstrations like that too. And so, and it's that sugar film documentary. He traveled to Australia. He traveled to the States, and just kind of like the diet and habits, each culture from the various continents. And it really made me think about how I eat. So like now, like even today, I'm like, I did it with my yogurt too, almond yogurt actually. So I was like kind of like I'm on the right track with that, because Chef Keidi, like I talked about earlier, about he makes almond yogurt as well as coconut yogurt. And
So what would you rate the first one?
First one would be definitely a 10.
I don't want the politics of it. I don't want to. I don't usually like different cultures or different citizens from different countries talking about how the American government manipulates what's happening around the world, but the sugar lobby, that's what I'll call it, and that's kind of what he alluded to it being, gets in there and pushes so that certain findings can shift their way. We're not saying that it's totally not true of the findings, but it's kind of skewed to be positive that sugar does not cause necessarily diabetes.
Because when in the documentary it showed how the sugar lobby like pushed their like agenda. You know, he showed that how it's actually not that bad for you. It's okay to have, you know, and he, you know, showed the different commercials and information from the lobby, from the governments that, you know, it was really good. It was interesting. So it's worth seeing, but it will make you take a look and be more thoughtful of the amount of sugar that you take in.
And let me say this:
it's okay to have a snack instead of 3 donuts, maybe like one.
No, we're not trying to preach to you. Eat how you like. I mean, I'm not trying to do.
But just think about what you take in.
But so he even ends with a music video. So I'll give it about a 9, because I didn't necessarily like the music video because I thought he was kind of cooning it up a little. It's a white dude, but when you see how it's the twang in the voice, you might as well just put on blackface. So I'll give him a 9. Oh. Matter of fact, did you see this video going around on YouTube where it's an Asian girl and she's dancing, right? And she's dancing to I don't know what it is. It sounds like it's one of those line dance, but she's out there and she's doing a move. Now this is somewhere in whatever country she's from, but she's doing these moves and the people are laughing. And I'm saying she is making fun of something that she cannot naturally do. That the rhythm is not naturally there, and thus she's basically just doing a minstrel show.
Right.
For those who don't know what minstrel shows are, they started around the 20s, where white men who couldn't get any work would take blackface cork, burn it down, put the blackface on, big white lips or pink lips, and get out there and do these minstrel shows, supposedly imitating how black people are, so that it would make money. So the minstrel shows went through, and you can see that movie Bamboozled by Spike Lee. He describes it very well, right? But so she's basically doing a minstrel show without blackface. That's what she's doing. So when people are sitting there and they're watching what the Asians are doing, like if you watch during the time when the Panther movie came out, and when they went over there and they interviewed Asians in China and other different countries, and the opinions that they had of black people in general, because of what they are taught to be basically Aryans, while they're actually Asian. So that's what it is. So when you see the dancing and stuff, don't believe that it's something that's friendly, because it is not. Because when you see the people in the back, they were like, get down. They were laughing because she was trying to do the move, and she was putting her hand down her crotch, like she was trying to be Michael Jackson. So just a little bit on that there. So on the second documentary,
the second documentary is called Plant Pure Nation.
And what rating would you
really
give it?
good. That one I would also. That one was good. I'm sorry, I have to give it a 10 too, because I learned a lot. Anytime I learn something, I can appreciate it.
I learned how the politicians who are in the pocket will collapse.
Right.
Because it was South Carolina, right? They were voting.
Well, this one.
Okay.
This one, they were in. It wasn't in South Carolina for this documentary. They were in Kentucky.
Okay, they were in Kentucky. That's right.
Yeah,
They sure were.
They were in Kentucky.
And they were voting on putting into the framework of the legislation that that the people in Kentucky should move more towards a plant-based living foods type of diet, because the schools but just moving forward because of the fact that this particular diet is unsustainable, not only because it causes bad health, but also because they can't keep producing livestock, because the livestock is producing too much CO2 emissions. And where's this gonna go?
But you know who was against this? Which lobby? So they showed with the meat lobby. Who else? It was the fat. I mean, they had a fat lobby, and just like beef, just like all of the other industries were like really like lobbying against it. And then, like I said, in this documentary, they had all of the research that showed. Now, see, the thing about this is, I loved how they had to when they tried. Well, they did. Well, I don't want to tell about the outcome. Because it's a good documentary, you have to see it. But while they are speaking to the representatives about it, and they're fighting to push this bill, Mr. Campbell, he had to emphasize, no, I'm not pushing a plant-based diet on everyone.
Exclusively.
I'm saying primarily. Right, primarily. So he's saying, okay, you can have a piece of beef or chicken or turkey, or but just primarily a plant-based. That's all. And so it was really good. It was an eye-opener, and just to see how from beginning to end, how it affect like some of the different people who were a part of the study. So I would definitely give it a 10, because I learned a lot. And and that's why I really was able to appreciate watching Chef Keidi, because after seeing that,
Yeah.
and to
We're
see,
gonna really drill down into Chef Keidi.
because to see after that, I'm like, okay, so I'm interested, you know, and because you want to have different recipes, you want to try different things as far as plant-based to play with, and then so when I saw him with his various recipes, he make it just like it's so easy. You watch him, you're like, okay, I can do this. I can do this. You know, I can incorporate more vegetables or more grains in my diet. You know, so yeah, I would definitely get a documentary. A 10. I learned a lot.
I'm gonna give it a 9 because I just didn't like the way that certain politicians started acting. You know, that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's common sense. It's like a lot of things was common sense.
Right.
You know, all through the Obama era,
Right.
a lot of things were just common sense that just seemed to go over people's heads. Okay, it's now it's no sense, and you know, people are maybe they were working on, maybe not. But listen, here's the thing that you see those post-apocalyptic films, right? And you see them talk about people going into bunkers and having places to live, you know, when the world breaks down, because you know they said the CO2 emissions from the cows, you know, the dung, the cow dung, right? You know, it goes up in the air, it's breaking down the ozone, all the other stuff. It's helping heat up the earth, which means that the waters are going to rise, which means there's less land mass to mass all of these people. And then you got people like dude from Microsoft who wants to dim the sun by putting something in the air that will, that will dim the sun down, and you know, trying to save one group of people. But this is in motion, and this is not going to be a save. You know what I mean? But anyway, listen, because all that's going to happen to black people is it's just going to get a little bit lighter. You know what I'm saying? Because the sun will be less intense, but it's still going to be there. It's still going to be. But anyway, that's another story. But my main point of this is people talk about going into bunkers and doing all that, but it's only one thing. You're going into this underground situation or whatnot, but what's coming up from the ground is the molten lava that's coming up because the earth is heating up. So it's going to bypass and wipe out your whole shit anyway. Excuse me. But you're in there. You're in this bunker, right? You're taking dumps. Where's who's going to dispose of the shat? Okay, who's going to expose of the shat? Right, that's CO2. Right, where's that going? Number 2, you need oxygen to be underneath. Right, if the top level, that's what's never explained to you in science fiction. How did they get a continuous flow of oxygen happening in a situation where the Earth's atmosphere is gone? So all of this is just like people who think that they're rich and they're going to get away from this. They're not going to get away from this. It's not going to happen. If the atmosphere changes to the point where it cannot sustain life and human life too, you know what I'm saying? Then you know that's what's going to happen, and so they can't escape it. So why don't you just go on ahead and start to change this? Maybe certain changes can not reverse but slow down the process. Right,
and acknowledge climate change.
What's going on to LJ? Chiming in. Let me go on ahead and do that. Yes, sir. Yep. So listen. That's the seriousness of this. Not only eating healthy so that you can live long, but also making sure that the earth is here for the next generations. Because what good is the next generations? Peace. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So that now, speaking of people who are homegrown and in our neighborhood, you know, we alluded to it. You know, put bullet points out there and bring it back. Brother Keidi, Chef Keidi, he has books out. Matter of fact, he not only speaks on How to Eat to Live. That's how I'm going to coin it, and we're going to get to that in a minute. Put a pin there, right there. He not only speaks on how to eat to live, but he also speaks on economics. He also speaks on the importance of us getting back to working with our African brothers that, sometimes can be contrary. It all depends, you know what I mean? Because Pan-Africanism, for people to really are in the know, we took Pan-Africanism to Africa, not the other way around. When we were sitting there, we were on the plantations, and we were looking around and said, well, where's the army to come get us? Well, no army ever came. But somehow we went over there
they
to
were
help.
being colonized.
Yeah, they were being colonized, but where was the army? Raise the army. Like Sister Soldier says in Buck Wild, like, where are your armies? Black men, stand up. Okay, anyway. Black women, stand up. So, we took Pan-Africanism over there. So he not only talks about that, but he talks about the rise of Africa again. And so far, it looks like China is getting ready to take the rise of Africa. It just seems that way.
Yeah, China's everywhere.
China is everywhere. Have you noticed? Because, China, speaking of, as we bring it back around to the little girl doing the minstrel show, China messed up their ecosystem because if you take geography, you realize that they have a closed system. Unstable systems have rain all the time. So within the seasons, it will rain, and then the gases and things escape up into the atmosphere, which doesn't do much for the ozone layer, but it does escape out. But when you have a closed-in system like California, like Las Vegas, like China, it's a closed-in system, and so when the pollution and the pollutants go up in the air, they lock and they make what you call smog. So you see, China has destroyed their system, right? And now they're moving out into other places to destroy their system. Now the Japanese, within the Bruce Lee films, when you watch the Bruce Lee films, you would see when the Japanese were in control in China, they would say, no dogs, no cats, no Chinese. Because the Japanese considered the Chinese to be dirty. That's what they did. That's how it was. And so there was always a situation where, the Japanese felt that way, and that's the way it is. And Bruce Lee chronicled that in his movies, right? So you have this situation going on with this, and they're spreading out. And if you notice, even in this market and in this area, you see the Chinese are spreading out. And they're no longer staying in the Chinatowns or the other Asians are no longer staying there because they're spreading out because it seems like it's a mandate or something that's been told to do. I mean, it's just the way it is. And so as they spread into Africa and they take over raw resources, what happened to the time when Africa for black people? Africa was for European people, all kinds of things. And now the Asians are moving in, and now, the Somalian pirates. The Somalian pirates were not boarding ships because they were just pirates. That was the European story. The truth is, they cut off. These people were fishermen, and they fed their families from the open waters off of Somalia to feed their families. Certain governments came in and got fishing water rights and took away the rights, and so they had to do what they had to do to continue to feed their families. So now the Chinese have come in and bought the water rights. I mean, it's like really a ridiculous situation. What's going on, Lamar? Checking in. It's like a real crazy situation that's going on totally with that. So saying that in the aspect is we need to have the time where Africa is African, and that's what Brother Keidi talks about. So his platform is not only food, but it's the environment, It's about Africa for Africans, and it just goes on. And he has various sets of books that have to do with that. And I just I'm getting ready to push another video, click in another video in, so that you can take a look at it when you go back afterwards and watch. And people on Instagram and people on YouTube Live can chime in and watch too. Okay, so look. It's really something. So, Brother Keidi, so when watching his situation, what would you rate his?
Hey, Pamela Johnson.
What would you rate his?
Oh, please. He would definitely get a 10 because, like you said, not only does he cover that, which I love, like, again, I can't emphasize, like the different recipes and stuff, healthier ways to eat. He also talks about eating healthy and how it could reverse autoimmune diseases. He also talks about how certain foods can cause cancer. So that's why it is important to eat healthy. So that's why I thought today discussing Dr. Keidi as well as the documentaries that we talked about earlier that we saw, that Sugar Film and Plant Pure Nation kind of all tied in together because it all affects us, our health, our lifestyle. And then I'm glad I didn't use the term diet because when I was watching the documentaries, I'm like, no, this isn't a diet, it's a lifestyle. So, like we said, we're not trying to change anybody's like eating habits, but just kind of like healthier like tips. Because I still, I love turkey and seafood and chicken, and I'm gonna still continue to eat it, but I'm still gonna incorporate like a majority of like veggies and whole grains, so just be more thoughtful of my sugar intake from watching, like I said, the documentary, that Sugar Film documentary. So just, that's all, just eating healthier. Oh, what I thought about in the documentary, Plant Pure Nation, made a lot of sense because someone actually said this to us before. I don't know if it was one of the doctors or from like watching Dr. Oz or my actual primary care physician, but the healthier that you try to eat, while you are young, as you age, the less medications that you'll be spending money on, and like my grandmother said, when I was, when you're young, you don't pay attention, but they said, oh, you're going to have all types of ailments, or, you can't avoid certain things, like, which is true, but to just alleviate it and make it just, if you can have like less ailments as possible, just try to balance it out a little more. Everybody likes to have a snack, or or what some people like Krispy Kreme. That's fine, but instead of getting a dozen, maybe just 2 donuts and just think about your health, because I'm telling you, from watching those documentaries and to see how it really affects your body will make you rethink about the amount of sugar you're taking.
Okay. So you're watching the film review, movies, music, culture, and whatever else comes to mind. We are the husband and wife team. I'm Crazy D.
Tracy.
And we review culture in movies, music, politics, and society. And we just finished talking about healthy living and Brother Keidi's presentation on raw foods, whole foods, and that smoothie is excellent. We're looking forward to trying some of his dishes in the future. You know what I mean? I will give him a 10, most definitely, because he comes down to the radio station and he brings the food, and you are actually able to try it, and it tastes delicious, and you get healthy from it, and you lose pounds on it. And sometimes we cheat a little bit, but we try to stay on that regimen some, because we've actually seen it actually work. And sometimes when you have a schedule that really makes you have to move around often and have to eat late because you're coming in late, you just have to try to stay on that, as Professor Keidi says. Try to stay on that situation. So we want to say that to you. So let's move on. We talked about the two movies.
Right.
Hard Time,
Right.
which is on YouTube, and Welcome to Killa City, which is about Kansas City, Missouri.
Right.
Stars Freeway. Both of those are on YouTube. You will be entertained by the films. One is 15 minutes, and the other one is a full-length film. The first is how a person tries to stay out the game and how staying out the game helps you move forward. The other is a tale of constantly being pulled back into the game and the consequences of being in the drug game. And that's what both films will wrap around the same thing, and how the lead characters handle it different and how the outcomes are different. Slightly different, we'll say. So see both of those films, and then we just finished talking about the two documentaries. What's the names again?
That Sugar Film and Plant Pure Nation.
And then check out Keidi. That's Keidi. You just go right there, Brother Keidi. Put in Smoothie, Brother Keidi, Smoothie, and then all of the different living food recipes that he does. Comes up his cooking shows, his lectures on that, and pick up his books, because we try to live as long. None of us are going to get out of this alive, but while we're here, we want to be the most healthy as possible, and not have to take all of the pharmaceutical products that they put out for us. Have you seen the new one that they have on there, talking about your foot may fall off? Or have you seen the commercials where they talk about if you have what is that called genitalia gangrene from the drugs that you use to lower high blood pressure. Gangrene. I mean, I sit there and watch that commercial all the time. It's like, who in the hell has gangrene on the genitalia? Do you know what that means? Gangrene means that it has to be cut off.
Well, and medications are very important, because, so very, very important. But it's kind of like you kind of want to balance it out. Like, sometimes, like, some people, I know some people, for example, who say, oh, I don't need any medication because I'm just going to be healed. God's going to heal me. But my view is God gives the knowledge to the scientists, to the doctors, to help come up with, cures, right? But food is also a gift given to us from God to help us sustain ourselves and to prevent illnesses. So, everything kind of works like hand in hand, because in the one documentary, this one guy, he said he was on, I think, like 8 or 9 medications. And because of his whole plant-based diet, he was down to like maybe 3 medications. So, but yeah.
So medication is good, but you want to try to use as little of it as you can, and eat the foods that will cause you less chance of needing to use those medications. That's what we'll say. Okay, so let's switch gears. So we talked about all that, and remember, this is being brought to you by. I should just keep this on my lap. This is being brought to you by the Black Ice Chronicles back in Cleveland. The Black Ice Chronicles back in Cleveland. The Black Ice Chronicles back in Cleveland DVD. That's right, DVD, because we are simulcasting on Instagram, Facebook and YouTube. And so go there. You can go to lordlandfilms.com. That's lordlandfilms.com. And you can actually stream the film on lordlandfilms.com, or you can just go ahead and order it on lordlandfilms.com and get your hard copy, because we actually produce films here at lordlandfilms.com. Okay, so let's shift gears real quick here. Let's move over to a film that is a very interesting film. We started watching it. Boy, it took a while to get through. Boy, I tell you.
But how many weeks?
I mean, it was like, it's an hour and 53-minute film. It's like, wow. It's like 2 hours and 23 minutes. 2 hours. And 23 minutes. And we are talking about the film, the movie, 1984.
2 hours that I can't get back.
No, like 2 hours and 23 minutes. 2 hours and 23 minutes long film. Now, it came out in 84, and it was shot during the time, like probably around 82, 83, to come out in 84 to go along with George Orwell's predictions of 1984. They felt it would be cute to put out a film that dealt with his dystopian view of what the world would be like in 1984, coming from when he originally wrote the book. Okay.
His book is a classic, so that's why when we saw the film, we said, "Oh, let's watch the film." The book is a classic.
Yeah, but also it's a lot of things that are going on with Trump in the government, right? It's a lot of things that are going on that you have to understand what Trump has read, right? To try to go through and figure out somewhat of what he's doing, right? And you're not going to figure it out by just by laughing or joking at him. So 1984 is an eye-opening movie. Well, let's break down the situation. So, the protagonist, let me get his name real quick so I can have it. John Hunt, right? Oh no, played by John Hunt. It's Winston Smith. That's the protagonist in the film. Winston Smith is a man who has one job and one job only. His job is to take news reports and manipulate them, change around certain words, maybe even change up images to put through, to push the company line to the people, the party line to the people who are in this dystopian world in 1984. That is his one job and his only job, right? But he has a problem. He has a problem. He doesn't necessarily believe the propaganda that he's putting down, and he's starting to question, because he says, why is this way, and I'm up here changing this? And that question was probably always there in his mind, and the powers that be, Big Brother, so to speak, always have their eyes on the people who do that, because they say sooner or later they're going to question why they are doing this. And so this is where we open up the story. This is what it is. And he goes and he does this humdrum situation every day, and then he goes home and he listens to some of the reporting that comes through from him, and there's others, because it's like a bureau of propaganda, and they push all of this propaganda out to the people. So he's hearing it, the TV has to be on, you have to listen to what Big Brother is saying. If you ever want to know where they got the term Big Brother from, for the Big Brother show that comes on that follows the people in the house,
which is much better than this movie.
This is where they got that from. So Big Brother didn't just come from out of the ether or the atmosphere. It is something that they put together from off of the George Orwell book, and took the aspect of the big brother always being able to see everything that you do, right? So they took it like that. They made it kind of light, but it's real serious business. In the larger aspect, there are cameras on every corner. They see everything. They see license plate numbers. They see what you're doing. And so Big Brother is watching. So that's what the 1984 movie was about. So he goes home, and he's in this humdrum situation every day. So his dramatic need is companionship. Okay? So he finds a companion in Julia.
Right.
He finds a companion. And let me tell you, it's a lot of 80s bush and nudity, frontal nudity, and Julia is played by Susanna Hamilton. And believe me, like I said, there's a lot of 80s bush. It's like really gratuitous. I don't even know if they would be able to do it today because, you know, times have changed. Me too. You know, why are we doing this? Right? And so that's what that is. We're getting ready to close out on one. They're closing us out. This is over on one. Okay, so anyway, listen. So let's share this real quick and let's come back. What should I say? But anyway, listen. So it's a lot of that, and so they go through like at least 20 minutes of the film of dealing with their relationship and them getting to know each other, and it's just really you're sitting up there and it's dragging.
Fall asleep.
So you can fall asleep. So
that's why
we
it
had
took 2 weeks to watch it.
So we had to cut it off. We had to cut it off, and then we came back to it today. So now listen, you go in an hour and 8 minutes in the film, so you get his dramatic need early on, and then from there it's just one big, long, drawn out affair. I don't know if they weren't able to really figure out how to go about bringing about the Orwell story, you know, to film, but it's long. So anyway, so you go 108 minutes in, and then all of a sudden, you get the initiating event when what's his name? O'Brien, played by Richard Burton. Matter of fact, this is Richard Burton's last appearance on screen. Well, probably not his last appearances. Maybe he had some other films.
Hopefully.
But he passed in '84 when this film came out in '84. Okay, so O'Brien, played by Richard Burton, passes Winston Smith a book, and so you think because he thinks that he's finally going to advance. A lot of this is you're hearing the thoughts of Winston in his head as he goes to do different things. You're seeing the different thoughts in his head, and he's saying, "Oh, I finally have arrived. They're finally going to get me to the point where I can go to the next level." That's what he's thinking. So he has ambition, which in the world of 1984, in this dystopian world that they're in, okay, dystopian means it's in disarray and disorder. It's not pristine. Utopian would mean that everything is provided for you. You have green pastures and everything is provided for you and everything is fine. Okay. So when I'm saying dystopian, you know what I'm speaking of. So he goes and he talks to the O'Brien character, and O'Brien gives him a book, right? And it's the book is supposed to be the new book with the new definitions of words that are supposed to be used in the propaganda that he spits out, changing up stories, right? So he goes and he starts to read it, but then he sees that the pages seem like they're glued together, like they're double pages. So he begins to pull back the page, and the page, and then on the page it says, when he pulls it back from the rules, it reads, ignorance is strength. So let's sit with that for a minute. Ignorance is strength. So in this world, this book is supposed, as he's pulling back, this book is supposed to be shedding all the secrets on what's happening with this propaganda that this particular governmental entity is putting down upon them. This is supposed to be dispelling all that and giving him information. It's as if O'Brien is on the inside. He's trying to hand Winston something to help dismantle the system, right? That's what it appears. So as he begins to read, he begins to see that a lot of the things that he believed are written in this book. So his brain begins to shift, and not only is he going along with this, not only is his brain shifting, but he's in this relationship, this sexual relationship,
which is against the law,
which is with Julia.
Right.
You're not supposed to need any companionship. You're not supposed to need any intimacy. You're supposed to just do your job, go back to your domicile, and sit there and listen to this propaganda be spit at you continuously, 24 hours a day, 24 hours day and night. You know, it's, 12 on, 12 off, and so he is breaking the rules. And so thus he's breaking the rules. But the main point of this is ignorance is strength. And I said to myself, Donald Trump read this book.
I'm sure.
He had to. You see, ignorance is strength means that as long as you ignore what the truth is,
Right.
you ignore what the truth is, you are purposefully ignorant. Everything was addressed in the book, from climate change to wars, perpetual war continuing on. You know, it's never an end. Even if it isn't a war, you push it like it is a war. And so we see these things in what we see today, and we say, wow. And at the same time, they are making fun of a person, and it's all within this story of ignorance is strength. There's other things going on. The mind of the party, the collective over the individual mortal mind. So in other words, you think like a collective, so you think like a monolith. So take the people who voted for Trump. They voted for him, and a majority of them still stay with that, even though it is hurting. What's happening is hurting the people.
It's government shutdown.
You see, because people don't read. All of this is in books already. This is, if you notice anything about Trump, Trump is a person who is into entertainment. And at one time, books were entertainment. That's how people got their entertainment. They could read, and the mind would be taken away through books. And that's what this is. So when you watch this film, and possibly, maybe not, maybe he never even read the book, but he wanted to go see the movie.
Right.
Because like I said, there was a lot of 80s Bush in this film. And so he probably was there, and he watched it, and he just put it into his memory bank that ignorance is strength. Grab them by the I'm going to build this wall, and you're going to do, and I can tell you that the way this is going, if he's not going to cave, so the Dems are going to cave, people. So ignorance is strength, and I think that people need to start reading this book, because I think the points are there, And so as the story goes on, no. but anyway, as the story goes on, and you go through and you watch it, you come to find out that that's the book and the double pages together is a double cross.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a double cross, and then from there
it picks up.
It picks up. That is the initiating event,
Right.
the book, and then after that, his love interest and him are caught doing
Right.
the illegal, and they're punished. And boy, is he punished!
Tortured.
I mean, he is punished, and the O'Brien character tells him that we are not going to kill you. We're going to break you down to the point that you love Big Brother, and once you love Big Brother, then we're going to kill you. Right? So at the end of the film, so you find out that there's an Emmanuel Goldstein, and you find out that O'Brien, so-called, helped him co-pen the book that's supposed to be the opposition book, right? So in other words, this, just like Big Brother, Emmanuel Goldstein does not exist. He's just a picture that they put up to say that this is the person that they're battling, right? So that's what that is. So in closing, there's a scene where within the torture, the O'Brien character asked Winston, he said, "How many fingers do I have up?" And Winston says 4. He says, "Don't you see 5?" And then Winston says, "No, I don't see 5, I see 4." So then they have him on a rack. A rack is something bullshit. I mean, we're gonna spoil this because people should have seen this film, and it drags anyway.
It drags.
So they pull him on the rack, and they're stretching him out. It's an old medieval type stuff where they're pulling him out. And he said, so he asked him, "How many fingers do I have?" He says 5. He said, "You're lying because you just want me to say what you hear." So boom. So finally he breaks free, and they break him, and we're gonna leave that. That part. So. But that part, the part we're gonna leave that for you to see. That is a must-see part, and that this is what they want from each and every person to do. They get you to that breaking point where it's you or someone else, and then we're going to leave it at that. See the film for that right there. But in the end, because he didn't want to say 5, but he started saying 5 as they broke him down. But at the end of the film, he's playing chess with himself, chessboard. He keeps moving back the piece because he's not supposed to have individual thoughts. So he keeps moving back the piece. But in the dust on the table, he writes 2 + 2 =. And then I said, what does he write? Does he write 4? Does he write 5? Because ultimately, what would happen to him once if he wrote 5, that would mean that they will come get him. Or maybe they have already killed him, mentally. Yeah. So it's a double meaning, double entendre to that, right? So what does he write? But the movie goes off like those great 80s movies always go off without any conclusion. So we had to do some research. And after we did the research on the book, I would say, because you said that you probably wrote 4. Right. I said,
because I was hoping that there was a little 5. Bit of independence still in him.
Mm-hmm. So he wrote. So you don't know what he wrote, but most likely he wrote 5. Okay. And see, this is what's
because you think they broke him down during the torture.
They pulled the seat. Come on.
Because I was hoping that there's still a little bit of independence left within him still. So I was, because with the 4 fingers, I'm thinking he's gonna say 4, but you're saying 5 because they broke him down mentally.
How many fingers do I have on? Does 1 + 1 = 3? All depends on how you look at it. Or does 1 + 1 = 2? So that's where we'll close. You know, the situations that are going on, you know what I'm saying, even with the R. Kelly situation that's going on, all of the people who went into group think, the Torres, the others who went into group think, and then now Torre has to apologize because he must have really found the whatever he was
makeup
supposed to have
artist
done. The makeup artist
said she sexually harassed.
he sexual
He
harassed her,
apologized.
and he apologized. I said, "You apologize? You actually did it. So why would you go on a show talking about another man
Right.
when you got skeletons in your closet?" Oh, they're bringing it all down, people. It's that group think because ignorance is strength, and that's where we will close it today. You have been watching another great episode of the film review. Movies, music, culture, and whatever else comes to mind. We are the husband and wife team. I'm Crazy D.
Tracy.
And we review culture and movies, music, politics, and society. And we will see you next time. The film review.
Have a good